Welcome everyone. I'm Jodie from Intuitive Insight, and I'm here with Andrea from the Creative Dream Incubator, and we're really excited to be sharing this class with you. I came across Andrea's work online. I can't even remember how, just serendipitously as you do online, and have devoured all her free content, all her free classes, and then have been a member of her Creative Dream Circle ever since. And we just caught up the other day and went, let's run this free class about making our dreams real. And I think what we're trying to do here is not talk about our dreams in terms of them being kind of pie in the sky, unattainable dreams. We're really talking about dreams that are grounded in who we are and our contribution to this world. So that's the kind of dream we're talking about, really attainable dreams that are aligned with who we are. So that's what we're here to talk about today. So Andrea is the founder of the Creative Dream Incubator and the Creative Dream Circle, and she's created this amazing process called the Creative Dream Alchemy, and we're going to get a taste of that today. I'm a psychologist, and I work with people who are trying to achieve their dreams but are coming up against their blocks, which many of us do. And
all of us.
Yeah, so I work one-on-one with people, as well as I'm developing some group programs as well. So we do the deep work that makes the big difference. So welcome everyone. Welcome Andrea.
Yay.
Thanks so much for joining us live. So please, if you have any questions as we go along, please feel free to put them in the comment box, or any contributions to the conversation. We'd love to hear them. Yeah. So we're going to start by going through the 5 myths of making our dreams real. We're then going to talk about the 3 truths, and then Andrew's going to take us through a lovely process to help really connect into and further that dream creation process. So Andrew, I'm going to hand over to you.
All right. So yeah, I love these. So when we were having that conversation about what we would like to see, or what we'd like to put out there, just because the conversation, like the public conversations about dreams sometimes are so messed up, and which is, there's a lot wrong in our culture anyway, or like not very healthy. And a lot of our ideas about how to pursue our dreams come out of these unhealthy belief systems and ways of being. So we wanted to address some of that. And the first one is that you need to hustle and work really hard all the time, that like hustle, right? And that is just like, for me, I know, like when I first left my job to be self-employed, that was my biggest dream, like to be creatively self-employed. So I wanted to make sure it would work. And so I did work really hard all the time. And all that did was burn me out. And, people talk about burnout and self-care, but I think another interesting way to look at this is that actually when you slow down, when you take time to fill the well, when you take time to really look at, what am I doing and where am I going, kind of like that kind of, introspection and the journaling and the meditation, that actually helps you figure out better steps to take. So it's like, that's like the work smarter, not harder thing. And I think when we're trying to work so hard, or we're trying to move so fast, we can actually miss the right way, the right steps to take. So I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind. If you are working really hard for it and things aren't working, it could be you need to step back and actually slow down. And that funny thing where I often find if I slow down with my projects, I can sometimes get them done faster, by being slower.
I mean, the way that we came up with these myths and truths is because both Andrew and I have lived this experience, and I had exactly the same thing, where I had such big ambitions and dreams for my business, And I thought, and in fact, that's what's out there, isn't there? That you've got to work hard. And if you're not working hard, you've got to work harder. And that led to burnout for me twice. And it took me a long time to realise that going for a walk in the park, I live near a beautiful national park here, going for a walk in the park for an hour, like really slowly, is actually contributing to me actually creating the kind of business and life that I want. So yeah, it's nice to have that.
Yeah.
When we work too hard, we miss those important things.
Yes, so much.
So our next myth, this one's out there too, isn't it? About this thing that we've got to be positive all the time. And I know there's so much stuff out there about the positive affirmations, and we need to be, thinking positively, and we need to, even if we think something negatively for a nanosecond, that means it's not going to happen. And I just think that, like, false positivity is not actually very helpful, because we're not going to be positive all the time, right? Because we're human, right? And what we're trying to do is create a life, a business, a career, a personal life that reflects who we are and that feels holistic and aligned to who we are. So we're not going to be positive all the time. And that's actually completely fine. And what's actually more important is honouring how we are feeling and where we are at. Because when we do that, we're much more likely to be able to so what we're doing is we're then actually using our sense of, we're using our connection with who we are to actually then understand where we're at and what can happen next. So if we're feeling doubt, if we're feeling anxious, if we're feeling like we're failing, they are all valuable and worthy of our attention, and they are all part of the process. And what the work that both Andrew and I do is that we actually need to honour, understand, work with proactively stuff that comes up for us, rather than try and turn it all into a positive, or just kind of, push all the negative talk away and try and think that it's all fine. So that false positivity is not really helpful.
No. And like you're saying, there's so much power in being with our actual feelings and working with what's actually happening for us. And so we are going to do a bit of that too in the meditation towards the end of the class. The next myth is kind of the opposite of the hustle one, but you need to simply visualize and live in hope. And that comes more from like the new age spirituality world. And that's one that got me for a long time, where I was wanting to be an artist and didn't know the first thing about actually selling my art or, making a living from it. But I felt like, well, if I visualize the right way and if I remain positive, it'll happen. Someone will come along, and I was hoping be my business partner, because I didn't want to figure all that stuff out, right? And so when it kept not happening, I kept thinking, it's like I'm doing something wrong. I'm not positive enough. I'm not visualizing the right way. I'm not visualizing, powerfully enough. And meanwhile, I wasn't doing anything to literally sell the art, right? So it's like, now I can see that. At the time, it was like, it's just because I had no clue how to do any of it. I was just doing what I thought to do, and I was, reading all of those books and following along with all of that. And so, being positive is really helpful. Like, I am a positive person, and I do visualize still, and I like to do that stuff. But you also do have to, not work your ass off and hustle all the time, but you do have to do the stuff. You're the one, and it's like your dream. I do believe that's part of your purpose and your potential. And I do think, it's an energy that we can connect with, that can help us, but it's not in the physical. We are the part that's in the physical. So it's our work, is all of the work of bringing that into the physical. Like, this is literally what we're here to do. So, we need to do the work.
Yeah, we need to take action.
Yeah.
Sit in hope. So the next myth is the old "fake it till you make it" myth. This is so prevalent, isn't it? And look, I think, if we're being generous, we would say there's something in, yes, you've just got to get in there sometimes and try it, and experiment and explore, and you might not get it right every time, and you might make mistakes and you might look like an idiot, but you're in there, you're doing it. So that part of the fake it till you make it, I don't necessarily have a problem with, but it's kind of the idea that we've almost got to be someone we're not to be able to succeed. And I have got, particularly in my business, I've got so caught up in all of the flashy lights of success and, online business. And, if you just do this, you're going to make $1 million overnight, and, all of that stuff. And it just means that we're actually getting so much more disconnected from who we are and who we want to be and what we want to contribute. That's what I found anyway. So the fake it till you make it, I don't think is very helpful, and it can ultimately feel very inauthentic. And what probably one of the biggest things I've learned through my business and creative life is that I need to, it's fine for me to kind of go and explore out there and see what's coming up. But I've got to bring it back to myself, and I've got to filter it through what feels right for me, and not just, feel like I've got to be someone I'm not, because I'm not actually going to be then making my best contribution if I do that.
No, and your dream is like your full expression of your true self. So it's just a really funny way to go about getting there, to pretending to be someone you're not, right? And so the last myth is you need something you don't have. And this is another one that is very familiar to me. As I shared, like I was I guess a stereotypical starving artist for quite some time, until that wasn't working anymore and I had to get a job. And then with the job, I actually started to get training. I started spending more time with my art and trying to figure out, because my dream was always use my creative gifts in some way to help people. And I knew like that feels like my calling, but I don't know how. And so I started getting skills, learning how to do this, started practicing things, but I felt like, well, I don't see a way to make that work. And I don't understand where I go from here with nothing to some kind of business. Like, what would that even look like? There wasn't any social media then, so I didn't see, like, there was no like life coaching. And so I just waited. Like, I knew what I wanted. I had all this passion and inspiration. I just waited for some kind of opportunity to come to me. And, that's what we do. I mean, the main thing is we wait for have enough money or enough time or enough support. And I was kind of waiting for a combination of all three, I guess, just because I don't know what to do. And what changed is when I got so fed up with waiting, I started just trying things. And I wasn't thinking this is going to lead to a career. I was like, I want to do this for fun then. So I started doing creativity workshops in my living room. I actually went to an art gallery. It's like an artist co-op where you can pay to put your art on display. Like, I started just doing little things that I could see and not worrying so much about that path, like way down the road, just focusing on, well, what could I try? What could I do from here? And those things led to the next things. Like it did build over many years, not quickly or anything, but yeah, I mean, we don't need to wait. There's something that you can do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've totally got caught up in that. If only I had more money, if only I had more time, if only I had more support, then I'd be successful, then I'd be this, then I'd be that. And it's like, well, no, you're actually where you are for a reason. And that kind of leads us into our truths now, our three truths. Which the first one is it's not just a mindset issue. I've got a bit of a bee in my bonnet about mindset stuff at the moment, because it's everywhere. And it's the idea that if you just think differently, then your life will be different and everything will transform. And it's just not true. So it's partly true. Sure, if we change our thinking and our beliefs, then that can have an impact in our lives. But oftentimes there's something more deeply I love that phrase, be in your bonnet. There's something more deeper going on within, and the mindset stuff only works, it only works up here, only works up in our heads. It doesn't work fully within us. So that's why the practices that both Andrea and I use are deeper, they're more embodied, they more take in the fullness of who we are, and therefore the shifts can happen on the right level and in the right way. And, blocks, when we reach our limitations, it just means we're on the right track. That's my belief. Like, you can't create your dream life, business, career, personal life without actually coming up against limitations. And they are always opportunities for us to grow and to come into our fullness. And they only ever come up when they're ready to shift. So it's not just about trying to change our thinking, it's about working on this deeper level, which actually is easier than you might think, and much easier than trying to change our thinking. That's been my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And our next truth is a little uncomfortable, but you will get in your own way. I feel like I get in my own way every single day. And there's a tendency kind of to want to beat yourself up about it, feel like, oh, if you understand all this stuff, then you shouldn't ever get stuck, or you shouldn't ever, act on your fears or your limiting beliefs. And the truth is you have to, almost like, if your dream kind of pushes you out of your current comfort zone. And that's really awkward, tricky work to be like, going past your own limits and all of this. And of course you're going to stumble and you're going to get in your way. And it's just like, it's not a problem. It's just a part of the process. The more we can just accept that, forgive ourselves faster, maybe even have a sense of humor about it, but definitely try to have a sense of curiosity about it, because then we can look at the places where we get in our own way and really look at, okay, so where am I being called to grow? Where do I need to bring healing in? Like, what is my dream really calling me toward? Just that deep inner work. Like, to me, like, that's the real interesting work of making dreams real. It's how I've grown as a person. And then as I do that work and grow, like get in my way and figure out why and grow through that, then I'm actually able to make the changes. And it feels like I just align my outer life with the changing inner truth. And that feels so much easier than trying to chase after a dream and make it happen.
And that's so that's absolutely been my experience too. And this is probably one of the most important things I've learned, is that if you do the inner work, the outer work follows from that, and not the other way around. Whereas most of us are taught the other way around, which is we've got to make this happen, or there's something, there's something getting in our way over here in our environment, or that person. And it's actually when we come back to doing the inner work, that's where we can be most powerful and effective. And that wraps up our last truth, which is your dream is who you actually are, who you really are. Because that's why we do this. That's why we pursue something that, like Andrea says, it's calling us. And the process of trying to create whatever it is that we want for ourselves is actually helping us to come back to who we are. And it's, if you're the kind of person who is pursuing something that's meaningful, that is, again, like really aligned to who you are and who you want to be, then the whole process of making your dream real will help you to will absolutely reflect who you are and help you to come back to who you are.
Yes. I love that. That's my favorite thing about dreams. All right. So we're going to do a little meditation to actually kind of start to take some of what's happened here and look at kind of applying it to what's going on for you and your dreams right now. And I realize we have people all around the world, and I don't know if everyone is going to know what I'm talking about, because I'm using a snow globe in this meditation. So I'm going to quickly show you a photo. It's like a glass globe with a figure inside it, right? And there's like glitter there. So if you shake it, the glitter is everywhere, and then if you leave it still, it settles down. So that's the imagery that we're going to work with, just in case anyone's not familiar. So you can just make sure that you're comfortable, or as comfortable as you can be. Maybe stretch a little bit. Take a couple of nice deep breaths in whatever way feels good for you. So, some people don't like to breathe really deeply. Some people do. So whatever your kind of nice breathing is, just kind of give yourself some space to do a little bit of the inner dream work. I'm just going to kind of process whatever has come up for you during the class. We've been exploring all of these ideas, talking about what it really means to make a dream real, some of the deeper processes that happen, and that is pretty much always scary. So everybody has fears about their dreams. So that is normal. You're not alone. If you have fear, self-doubt, a lack of clarity, none of that means anything about you or your dream or your potential. It's just, we all have it. It's okay. And you can actually bring your fear with you on this adventure of exploring your dream. So you don't have to wait, you don't have to feel ready, you don't have to not be afraid. So you can practice learning how to work with your fears and doubts and work with any obstacles that you face. And that's what we're going to do here. So imagine now that you are sitting in a snow globe. So you've got your glitter all around you. It can be whatever color you want it to be. And of course, when things are shook up, the glitter is flying everywhere. And when we are really still, it settles down at the bottom. And that's really similar to how our energy is, right? We can have fears kind of be activated and alive around us, or they can be kind of down in, in the depths where we don't really notice them. But during this class, it is very likely that some stuff got stirred up for you, and then ideas are whirling around. Kind of like energy just swirling around you. So as you're imagining yourself in this snow globe, just giving yourself some space to process everything that's come up during the class. Just see if you can let the swirling start to settle down. And when I say to imagine it, not everybody actually visualizes and sees things. That's fine. We're just playing around with our imagination. So if you're imagining yourself in a snow globe, can you imagine everything just settling down at the bottom? Just creating this calm space all around you. So this snow globe that you're in isn't filled with liquid. It's filled with the qualities of creativity, light, and knowing. So just notice how that feels. Kind of surrounded by creativity, light, and knowing. So creativity helps you tap into your innate power to create anything you want in your life. And light is a spiritual light. It helps you tap into a sense of support and safety and clarity, as in like turning on the light. And knowing helps you tap into your intuitive wisdom, that voice within you that knows exactly how to make your dream real. Just imagine yourself being able to connect deeper and deeper to the qualities of creativity, light, and knowing. Of course, these qualities are always inside you. And there's no way to do this wrong. in this kind of work, we're never trying to have a specific kind of experience, even though our logical minds will often have some ideas about what you're supposed to be doing or what this should look like or feel like. But what we really want to do here, the more powerful way to approach it, is to be present with what's actually happening for you. So how you're actually feeling right now. Making a dream real is about nurturing and activating your inner gifts while also doing the work of healing and transforming the things that hold you back. So you're always ready. You're always ready for your next step. Nothing has to change. This is where the magic happens, right here in the present moment. So you have an obstacle. Everybody has obstacles. Actually, you don't. Dreams have to have obstacles, otherwise you would already have them. That's kind of part of how they work. So whatever your obstacle is, and you don't have, maybe you just procrastinate and you don't know why. You don't have to understand exactly what the obstacle is, but whatever it is that stops you from moving forward with your dream, I want you to invite this into your snow globe. Like, we're going to have a little meeting with it. Again, just in your imagination, however you want to do this. I know it's kind of weird, but there is this part of you who stops you from going after your dream. So we're going to invite this part of you here into the snow globe. You know, when I do this, sometimes it shows up like a brick wall, or an inner child, or sometimes it just feels foggy and scary. You don't have to see anything. The aim is just to sit with the thing that stops you from going after your dream. And this might get really uncomfortable. I want to ask you to stay with it, because this is where the magic happens. The only way to heal and transform the places that hold you back, so that you can be free to move towards your dream. You have to start by just sitting with it. You can take another couple of nice deep breaths if that feels nourishing for you. You're just sitting here with the thing that stops you from going after your dream. And you're still connected to creativity, light, and knowing. So now let's see if you can offer some love to this thing that stops you from going after your dream. So at their core, all obstacles are some part of you that needs healing. And of course, everyone and every situation is unique. But generally, these obstacles are a part of you who is afraid and wants you to be safe. So, and it mistakenly believes that stopping you from changing will keep you safe. And our dreams pretty much always trigger these fears. So keep sitting with this thing that stops you from going after your dream, and offer it love, even if you're not sure how to do it. You know how to love things, so just kind of practice and play around with it. How can you offer love to this part of you that holds back from going after your dream? And I want you to notice now, how are you feeling? And how is the fear, or the thing that holds you back from your dream, responding to receiving love from you? Everything changes when you learn to work with the parts of you that hold you back. So our fears, our self-doubts, our inner critics, they need to be acknowledged. And we spend so much time running from them, avoiding them, but they will transform completely if you can acknowledge them and send them love. And I don't mean that they'll transform completely in an instant. This is a practice. I do this almost every day. But you need to bring all parts of you on the journey towards your dream. You can't just leave your fear behind. And if when you try to do that, it will sabotage you, and it has actually a lot of power to do that. So you can only really move forward with the power of your wholeness. So see now if you can ask this part of you who stops you from going after your dream. Ask it if there's a way that you can work together. This kind of can feel really, really, really weird, especially if you haven't done something like this before. But it's like, um, you know, when I did finally leave my job to be a full-time creative person, I had to do this process all the time. And this part of me that was so afraid was just so worried about money and safety. And so I was like, oh, hey, guess what? I worry about safety too. I want to be safe. And like just having that conversation was a big like shift for me, because it was like, oh, really? You're not just going to be reckless, you know? And I'm like, no, I want to be okay. And, you know, just having these little conversations and saying, okay, like you need to be safe. I need to have my dream. How do we make that work? And it can take a little while of practicing before you start to see how you can work with your fear. But if you have some ideas right now, you may want to write them down. Start thinking about that. And if you don't have ideas, that's okay. It doesn't mean you're not going to get ideas. So what we did here is a practice for engaging with that inner fear. That does start to create a shift, and new ideas may come to you over the next few days. And this is a short class, so I'm quickly sharing this process with you. I hope we're making it really clear you need to practice and do the work on an ongoing basis to create the kind of big shifts you need to make your dream real. But this is it. This is the work, right? You meet with the thing that has you stuck. You offer it love, and you figure out how to work together. And this process will take you on incredible adventures, because I know that you do have what you need to make your dream real, that your dream is how your soul calls you towards your true self. This is your purpose and your potential and your most authentic way of living. So your dream is accessible to you. You can't necessarily get there in one step overnight, but you can start taking steps. And it's up to you to do the work of claiming your gifts and healing the places in you that want to hold back. So it's up to you to say yes to your dream, right? You are the only one who can do this work. And actually, that reminds me of another myth or thing that I see a lot online in the life coaching world, about how people say that they have the secret or they have the 3-step system. But your in like intuition and inner wisdom, you're the only one who knows exactly your path. Okay? So all of that power is in you. You have it. And Jodie has a bonus practice, right?
Thank you, Andrea. That was really good. So the work that I do with people is it's really interesting to me that the way that Andrea does her work, and then the work that I do individually with people is an evidence-based practice, which really aligns exactly with that process. And so I do this work in my own life, and as Andrea does, and then when I get stuck on some of the deeper stuff, I get help with the process. But it is the process, it is what makes all the difference. It is the inner work that actually leads to our outer success. So our final sort of bonus practice is really just to take the next step, is to practice this process and just to take the next step. I used to be the kind of person who wanted to have it all mapped out, all planned out, as much certainty as possible, and it's just not how things work, and it creates frustration and resistance. But then we can always do one little thing and just take the next step. That's in fact all we need to do, because if we're not rushing through, we're not hustling and working too hard, we're not just believing in blind faith, we're staying aligned to who we are, then the next step that we take is going to lead to the next step after that. And in fact, that's all we need to do.
Yeah. Whatever step feels doable.
Yeah.
Sometimes too, we judge it because it's too small. like when I did the creativity workshops in my living room, a part of me was like, yeah, but how, this will never lead to like an income for me. But it's like, well, it did, but in a roundabout way. So it's like, we got to try to, like, that's tiny step that you can do. That's great. What you feel inspired to do, that's great. Like, that's taking the next step. So thank you, Christina says that was amazing. Thank you, Christina. And Leslie says, love the meditation. It revealed so much to me. Thank you. I'm so glad. And I love too, like, that each person has their own experience with it too, right? So whatever's coming up for you, and we'll have the replay available too, so you could do it again. Because I find even if I have the same fear every day, each time I meet with it, it kind of tells me something different. So it's that kind of ongoing relationship. Oh, Jenny Ann says, got me back on my path. Awesome. Darlia, thank you. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions? Like, are you feeling like, well, I don't think I have a next step? Or, yeah, is there anything feeling that you want to ask us about before we go?
So while you're tapping away, if you do have a question, just to let you know that we're going to be sending out to everyone who's signed up journal prompts over the next few days, because we want you to continue with the process. And you can take those prompts and you can journal, you can draw, you can just do the inner reflection, similar to what we've just done now, whatever works for you, just to keep on this path. And the other thing we'll be sending out is a link to Andrea's free dream class, which is fantastic, and where you'll learn more of these practices. It'll really give you a great foundation for this practice. I've also got a guided meditation free, which I'll send out to you. And then there'll also be some information about Andrea's Creative Dream Circle, which is an amazing group. There are so many amazing resources in her circle for pursuing our dreams. And you'll also receive a link to information about the work that I do one-on-one with people. So thank you so much for joining us. It's so lovely to have people in the room with us virtually. Yeah. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to contact either of us if they come up later on. But thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you or this has helped in some way to take that next step towards your dream. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we're not seeing any questions coming up, but thank you for all the thank yous.
Thank you for all the thank yous. Enjoy the rest of your, it's the morning in Australia. Enjoy the rest of your day, or if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, enjoy your evening. And thank you so much.
Thank you.